Good evening, commissioners, members of the staff, members of the public. Miguel Galvez, contract planner with JBL Anderson Land Use Planning. John Anderson is also here. He's the president of JBL Land Use Planning. Thank you, Martha. This evening, we arrive at a significant milestone on the general plan update process. This has been a long journey on this process. On average, this milestone is probably reached once every 20 years, as general plans are updated every 20 or 30 years. So to reach this milestone where we're looking at a preferred land use alternative, it's a really significant point here. Today's presentation will be consisting of two parts. I'll provide a real quick overview on the general plan, and then our consultants with Mintier Harnish, they'll be conducting the study session for the land use alternatives. So let me do a quick overview. And this is really for those that are new to the general plan update process, and it's really a quick refresher for those that have been involved, the general plan 101 refresher, if you will. As I was looking at this picture, just as a side note, I like this picture because it illustrates both farming and harvesting common in the Central Valley. But to me, it represents planting and harvesting of a community's ideas, visions, and goals. That's something that we do with the preparation of the general plan. Once we gather community products, in this case, we're looking for community comments, we can deliberate on what those products should be, how they should be served to the community. So the Livingston community can benefit from the fruits of the labor of the commission, the community, and the city council. What are general plans? In short, a general plan is required by state law. It is a long-term plan, as I mentioned, 20 to 30 years on average, some go up to 40 years. It's a plan on how the city should develop in the future. It looks at the current development pattern, and it forces us to project how the community's needs, its goals will be addressed and met in the future. And all this is based on a consensus build-out of community participation at workshops like this, at joint workshops, and at public hearings. I've been in city planning business for about 40 years. I started as a planning commissioner back in the mid-'80s. I know I'm kind of old now. But as I reflect on our effort and over the time that has passed, we have seen changes. And let me just quickly go through some of these changes, just really to add flavor to, the importance of a general plan. Back in when I was younger, we used to recycle glass bottles, but now we moved to plastic bottles. And now we can tailor-make our own drinks at home, whether it's a Keurig or a soda machine. Back then, we used to shop at malls. We now shop online with home deliveries. We used to prepare food at home. Now we eat out or have food delivered. We used to work from 8 to 5. Sometimes stores were closed on Sundays back in the day. Now we work modified schedules, and some people work from home. When I was growing up, we used to play outside with neighborhood kids. Now, kids interact online, FaceTime and things like that. In the past, we used to pay in cash. Now we pay with our cell phones. Public meetings like this were all done in person. Now they can be done online with people having the option to call in and voice their concerns. You can watch the video and write letters afterwards. All this reflects that we are constantly evolving as a society and changing, and it's time to reflect to our goals and visions in our current general plan meet our needs now, and do they meet the needs of the future? So today we will be asked to look at the planning's crystal ball and paint a community that we would like to see and change into. So that's just a little quick of the general plan. The general plan is a tool on how we manage growth. You can see here on the screen, the general plan is at the bottom. It's the foundation for all decision-making. This is adopted by the City Council through recommendations by the Planning Commission. When it comes to land use development, all development, including development regulations, everything that's constructed has to comply with the city's general plan. When we present items to the Planning Commission, City Council, we ask the Planning Commission and City Council to make findings. Does this project, does it meet, is it in compliance with the goals and visions that the city had as identified in the current general plan? The general plan, together with the zoning ordinance, the subdivision ordinance, are considered organic. That means that they can change whenever the community inspires that we need change. They are not set in stone. When we look at a general plan, it used to be 7 elements. Now we are required to have 9 elements as listed there. However, the Planning Commission primarily focuses on the land use element, the housing element, and the circulation element. The other elements also play an important role, but the predominant elements are those that I mentioned. I will point out that even though the cities evolve, the state also evolves as new things happen, new crises happen. And so oftentimes the state will adopt legislation, new regulations that affect our general plan, our zoning code, our subdivision ordinance. For example, the fires in Southern California recently, there was a loss of water supply, water service. And I can just imagine that the state's going to come up with new rules about making sure that the cities have enough water to meet water demand pressures, especially during a huge fire like that. As I mentioned, this is organic, so our general plan and even the state's goals change. The update that we have is meant to be innovative, contemporary, and compliant with state planning law, as listed here. But I also wanted to mention that the update process has been inclusive in providing opportunities to our diverse community. We've had community workshops where information has been provided in the predominant languages in our community. And so we like to be inclusive. We like to hear different points of views. We all live and share in the community's challenges and constraints, but also we have the opportunity to share our solutions and our goals and our visions. Like in the U.S. Census, everyone counts. Everyone's opinion is valued. The focus of the update, the general plan hopes to incorporate the following. One is smart growth principles. Smart growth deals with compact, walkable urban centers to avoid sprawl. It advocates compact, transit-oriented, walkable, bicycle-friendly development. It includes neighborhood schools, complete streets, mixed-use development. The general plan also includes a growth strategy that not only identifies where growth is to take place, but how city services like water, sewer, public services are to be provided and how those are paid for. It also endeavors to identify an economic development strategy that provides choice and stability to community residents and business investors. As I mentioned, this has been a process, and we're midway. We're in that highlight area number phase 5, which is evaluating alternatives. Some of the things that that have been completed are the preparation of the existing conditions and trends, community vision and guiding principles, and we've started to review different land use alternatives, which we're going to get into in a little bit. Looking forward, the next steps. After this evening today, we're hoping that we can have a preferred land use alternative that can be recommended to the city council for consideration and adoption. They can always, be considered a public hearing as well. Once a preferred land use alternative is selected, then the consultants will begin in earnest in preparing the general plan chapters, the general plan elements to be more precise. As part of that, they will also begin to prepare the environmental document. Typically, it's an environmental impact report that identifies all the potential impacts from developing the general plan build-out and what mitigation measures or conditions can be identified to reduce those impacts. And then at the end, they come up with a public review or a final document for adoption. That'll be coming back to the Planning Commission before it goes back to the City Council. So it's a reiterative process, but we're halfway through the process here. At this point, let me reintroduce the city's general plan update consultants.